Are you gentlemen ready to enter your daddy era? Because you've got Daddy Eric and Daddy Andrew.
I mean, you have the mustache.
Got mustache.
Yep.
I
And
was
leather
thinking
pants.
Leather pants. Sure.
You're really leaning into the daddy.
Leaning into the daddy. Yeah.
My friend gave me a baseball hat that says daddy on it that I'm
Cute.
gonna start cycling in.
Yes.
Why are you here?
I suppose I'm here to make friends with you. Your dad's too.
Sir, I have been waiting for this forever. This is an absolute treat. How are you?
No, I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, and I'm just gonna say it outright. I've been blown away by this. I'm blown away by your performance in this film. I think you've stolen it from everyone else, and you'll probably be prosecuted, but that's okay because I'll defend you.
Thank you.
And
it's weird. When I watched it, I didn't feel that at all. I felt well. Also, I watch films for the first time that I'm in probably differently than most people do. I process them differently. But I was so blown away by the performances from this cast. I just feel guilty calling myself a lead.
yeah, I mean, this is really one of those casts where it's a condensed setting, it's a condensed story, and like one false note,
Right.
and it all unravels, but it never does.
No, and everybody was just so on point. And the performances are just so emotional and so strong. Yeah, it's just, really well done, and praise to them because I was fortunate enough to kind of draw from them and work off of them and bounce off of them, and it definitely just made me a better performer.
I kind of empathise with these characters in a way that helps. I mean, with Redmond as well, he on paper he's someone that's I just cannot really understand it, and it's a person that I feel like I kind of know in kind of today's times. He's this kind of angry guy who he's got a very kind of shady past. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but also we kind of see kind of a bit of vulnerability. He's someone who's kind of in reform. He's trying to be a better person. Just the fact he's there. So yeah, there's lots of interesting things at play, and also kind of pitching the anger, because that can always kind of come across as kind of a one-note thing. So it's always finding colours, which is something Knight is always been a big kind of person with.
They're never going to choose to do this. And I don't blame them.
Paul Tremblay, who wrote the book, he came to visit us on set, and it was so cool. He based these characters on a couple that he knows very well and is friends with. Based this couple in the book when he wrote the novel, and I think that you feel that. I like the thought of playing or not playing something stereotypical or a trope did not even cross my mind.
Same, yeah.
Because the characters were so well drawn.
Yeah.
And so specific and so kind of like connected, and yet had such opposite. There was such a tension between the two characters, even in their marriage and their relationship. And it was just playing the love and playing the family. It was as simple as that, to me, as far as the gayness of it all.
And also, I think the way Knight works is that his script is such a Bible. He's so religious about what he's written, to the point of like commas. That in terms of doing research and preparation, all you really need is you've just got to follow what he's written there. And the script is such a runaway train in itself. It's so intense. Every scene is so intense that you just step on action and then not be able to get off. That was the way it was.
Killed that. That's awesome.
Well, I think the greatest lesson, and it was something I've dealt with before, but not so much to this degree, as allowing myself to be directed. And I really just, for this one, I had to really just kind of completely give myself and trust in Knight, and give myself, my performance to him, and just let him lead me to where he wanted me to go. And I've done that before, but it's just always been on smaller levels. It's been on, and maybe because there were smaller roles, but also I've never worked with a director who just made his direction so much into a conversation of emotions. And that's what it was every day. It wasn't like a simple twist of, walk a different way, or look a different way, or say a word a different way, or sentence, say it this way, say it up, say it down. It was really like a full-on conversation. He would come out with his notebook, he'd open his notebook, and he'd go back to certain points that he wanted to go over. And he would say, you know, at this point, you know, when he says this, he's really thinking this and he's processing this. But also when you process this, remember that Leonard still has to be in charge. So he's processing all these emotions, but he still feels that weight that he needs to be, you know, he needs to be in charge here, and he can't break down, he can't fall apart. So it's constantly like processing all these different thoughts. And so at the end of the day, when I would say, is that what you wanted? And if he said yes, I'd say, if you're happy, I'm happy.
Exactly, yeah, and it's such a difficult challenge they've got. I mean, I just don't even know where you'd start, kind of putting yourself in that. And also, I mean, he's the worst person to have in that situation. You'd feel kind of really kind of on the back foot with him, because it's all about kind of negotiation and kind of trying to make these people kind of understand and believe, and it's kind of impossible. So yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic.
And that was what I struggled with, because sometimes my instinct said to go more emotional, or to be more vocal, or to be more aggressive, or be, you know, more, to break down a little bit. And he would always remind me to remember that Leonard feels this responsibility, that he has to be in charge. He's responsible for all these people. He's in charge of making sure that this goes right, and these people really believe that he's there out of sincerity, and he really means what he says, he believes in what he says, so he can't fall apart. So that's what was kind of my struggle.
Action! Stay back!
There's nothing that any of us can do.
I mean, obviously with TV, there's lots of different kind of technical things that you kind of have to deal with. And with this as well, we filmed it in kind of 35mm, so that also adds kind of a different thing. But in terms of directing, I think he's always just so solid, and you just feel so safe with him, because he's so specific, and he's storyboarded everything before you even set on set, so he knows exactly what he wants. We've both kind of developed this relationship now that we kind of have this shorthand, so we know what he knows, what I can give him, and I know what he wants, so that always helps. But he's just such a great person to be around. If I could only work with Knight for the rest of my career, it'd be great. He's the best.
And action!
Now, because of these roles, are you gentlemen ready to enter your daddy era? Because you've got Daddy Eric and Daddy Andrew. You know people aren't going to let that go.
Yeah,
I
great.
mean, right? Yeah,
I love it.
I'm down for it.
I mean, you have a mustache.
Got mustache.
Yep.
I
And
was
leather
thinking
pants.
Leather pants. Sure.
You're really leaning into the
I'm
daddy.
leaning into the daddy. Yeah.
My friend gave me a baseball hat that says daddy on it that I'm gonna start cycling in.
Yes.
Wear it to the premiere.
Great idea.
Jenny, can I wear the daddy hat, the baseball hat, to the premiere? Does it go with the suit? Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And cut!
Quick last question before we go. I'm going to ask you with all sincerity. How hyped should I be for Dune Part 2?
Super hype. Like, be hype.
I mean, obviously.
And that's speaking as, it's from fan to fan. You know, because I was there, I went and even watched some of the stuff that I wasn't involved in, because I'm a fan, and I just want to know how this film is going to be. And it's so good, man. It's so good. It's like the first film was just a setup. Like, it was just, and this is when, like, shit goes down.
Weird stuff has to kick in.
It does. It gets weird. It's political, and it's cutthroat. It's really great.
You have to somehow trust us.
We've been given the chance to decide the fate of everyone.
Time's running out on the world.
I'm scared.